70s, theology has become a major part of PKD's own life, and not just episodes of paranoia and epiphany that he often put into his work. Christianity/religion has become a way for him to deal with a world that seems bent on self-destruction. And his faith in a higher power is a type of rescue and reassurance. Metaphysics, the exploration of spiritual questions, has been a central theme to the science fiction genre, at least since the time of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Metaphysical questions like, what does it all mean? Were consistently tackled by the great authors of the genre, often in fantastically elaborate prose that speculated on the nature of being, the limitations of our perceptions, as well as voyages of self-discovery. PKD, throughout his writing career, has kept a finger in every metaphysical pie, with many questions about identity, appearances, and reality. For years, Philip K. Dick also speculated on the nature of the Messiah, portraying the chosen one as either enigmatically sinister or as the champion of humanity who offers us salvation. His literary theology will soon become even more complex as he attempts a deliberate intellectual assault on the problem of evil in the world, an evil that has been deified and carried to a transcendent level. The beam of pink light and the visions that it gives him calm all his sense of horror and dread in the world. He will now spend the rest of his life trying to make, rational sense from a mystical experience, so that the experience can be transferred to other people. His mental anguish and spiritual pain are removed from him by this unexplained supernatural beam of light energy. PKD feels as if the primordial curse of humanity, the fall from Eden, has been taken away from him by a benign and transcendent power that has intervened in order to restore and heal his mind, body, and spirit, and given him a sense of beauty, joy, and sanity that can still be found in this world. This religious, supernatural, life-changing experience, which has been building up inside him for some time, happens in February 1974, when PKD, who is recovering from the removal of an impacted wisdom tooth, is expecting a home delivery of Darvon, which is a serious painkiller, from the local pharmacy. The doorbell rings. He opens the door. But it's not the medications. It's a very pretty and Sephardic-looking young woman. Instead, he's expecting a delivery from the pharmacy. Instead, it's a pretty young girl. He is immediately struck by the dark-haired girl's beauty. The raven-haired young lady is a devout Christian, what they used to call a Jesus freak back in the early 70s. Who is basically going door to door, distributing literature and seeking donations. She is wearing a fish pendant. PKD is drawn to her necklace. He is, in fact, kind of hypnotized by the fish. He forgets his pain. He forgets about the medication. And he even forgets why the girl is actually there. What does the fish sign mean? He asks in a haze. The girl touches it. It's a sign worn by the early Christians. It's called the Viscal Pisces. Now, as she speaks, the sun glints off the fish pendant, and the reflection of light transforms into an intense beam of pink light that mesmerizes him. And for a moment, PKD cannot even remember who he is. Suddenly, in a flash, he and the young woman are both early Christians in flight from Roman persecution, and they communicate via coded messages, signs, and gestures. But this is not a flashback, for ancient Rome and contemporary California are happening now. He is living two lives at the same time. A life in ancient Rome simultaneous with a life in modern California. Now, in this vision, the Roman Empire, which PKD calls the Black Iron Prison, has never ended. Rome has managed somehow to stop time, circa 70 AD. And the year 1974 does not really exist. Time is far different than we imagine it to be, and everything has always been here, and everything is now. Now, in this intense religious epiphany, PKD travels through time back to the days of Imperial Rome and the beginnings of Christianity. Now, let's take a moment to analyze the symbolism involved in PKD's life-changing, intense, and unforgettable epiphany. Now, the fish, among many cultures, is the symbol of life and fertility. Probably the oldest secret symbol of Christ. Symbolic of spiritual nourishment and knowledge. Symbolic of the life force surging upwards. Symbolic of the mystic ship of life itself. The fish grants heightened power to both the mind and the soul. The fish penetrates the mind and the soul, and an individual then becomes like a newly born fish in the waters of baptism. Now, in pre-Christian pagan times, the fish was considered a cosmic entity that basically symbolized the formal physical universe itself. For example, the golden Scythian fish, which is the symbol of the progress of the world across the sea of unformed realities. Now let's connect this fish symbol to the intense beam of light. Light is a symbol of the spirit and of the divine, the luminous intensity of the superior soul. The color pink is symbolic of the love of God, a combination of red, the blood of Christ, and white, the purity of the Spirit. So a beam of pink light becomes a symbol of the divine life force found within the soul itself, which is linked, of course, to compassion and unconditional love. The pink beam of divine light enters PKD's mind via the center of his forehead, the third eye, which the beam of light has now awakened. The third eye, according to very ancient and mysterious and obscure mystical and esoteric tradition, was once possessed